Hello everybody, Martin here, back with another vintage video. So this is the deck tech for the deck that I have chosen to play today. It is Oath of Druids. And if you are already sort of familiar with vintage and with Oath, the archetype, I recommend you skip past this and jump straight to the matches. But for the uninitiated, I'll just give a quick run through of how the combo that this deck is centered around works. And let me preface this by saying that there are several variations of Oath of Druids combo. They all sort of revolve around the namesake card Oath of Druids, but there are sort of vast differences in how they proceed to win and also how they play out, I guess. So I have chosen to run a deck inspired by a deck I saw on the Vintage Super League. I'm not sure, but I don't think it was sort of invented for that league. I think people have been playing a version of this before, but this is a deck that show and tell. An Oath of Druids deck that also tries to leverage show and tell and with Omniscience, and we have Burning Wish to facilitate the win also. But let me just explain. The Oath of Druids combo is with this enchantment Oath of Druids. This is part of a cycle from Exodus, and it states that at the beginning of each player's upkeep, you choose a player that control, well, that player, sorry, let me just start over. I'll just try to explain. I mean, you can read it here, but basically how it works is during a player's upkeep, if that player controls fewer creatures than target opponent, that player may then choose to put cards from the top of his or her library into their graveyard until they hit a creature that way. And if they do so, once they hit a creature, they get to put that into play. So basically, the short of the long is here, if you don't control a creature and your opponent does control a creature, you get to activate you trigger Oath of Druids and you get to use its effect. So you mill your library, put cards from the top of your library into your graveyard until you hit a creature. And then the trick is to only play like cheaty creatures. So either like we have Gristlebrand or Emrakul. And the trick is like we will never, unless we've already comboed off, we will never have a creature in play for our opponent to trigger the Oath of Druids off. But what if our opponent doesn't have a creature in play? How do we then make Oath of Druids happen? Well, there is this land called Forbidden Orchard. And it's a rainbow land, so you can tap it for any a mana of any color. And each rainbow land in the history of Magic they've always come with a drawback. And in the case of City of Brass, you pay a life, or it deals you 1 damage. Mana Confluence, you pay a life. Gemstone Mind only has 3 counters. You get the gist. Here, the drawback is that your opponent gets a 1/1 Spirit token creature every time you tap it. But hey presto, that is actually what we want. We want our opponents to have creatures so that we can trigger Oath. And yeah, usually winning from there is academical, but not always. Sometimes Oath of Druids decks run ways to get cards from your graveyard into your library because you can actually end up decking yourself. If you, say, have Emrakul in your hand, and you then trigger Oath, and Gristlebrand is the last card in your library, then you will lose the game. Because once Oath is done triggering and resolving during your upkeep, you'll then proceed to your draw step, and you won't have any cards to draw. So that is a risk. So there are cards like Memory's Journey, and I guess Gaia's Blessing. I can't remember if that's a sorcery or not, but like weird cards that will, like suboptimal cards that will let you get cards from your graveyard into your library, so you don't do that. But we're not running any of those, so we're just risking it. The other way to win is to get Omniscience into play with via Show and Tell, and then either just hard cast Emrakul or cast a Burning Wish. Burning Wish for Enter the Infinite. And this lets us draw everything in our library, like our entire library, put one card back, then we will then get the Emrakul, so if that's enough we can just cast him, or we cast another Burning Wish, get the Tendrils of Agony. We now have our entire library in our hand, so we can just cast a bunch of spells for free through the Omniscience and generate Storm and win with Tendrils. So this being a Burning Wish deck, we have these Burning Wish targets. So sorry, actually, the Ravenous Traps are not Burning Wish targets. Let's move them there. But we have the Show and Tell, the 4th Show and Tell, making it so that we actually play a de facto 6 Show and Tells with the 3 Show and Tell, 3 Burning Wish. Got the Enter the Infinite as part of the win con. Other part is Tendrils. We've got 2 sweeper effects in Massacre and Toxic Deluge. Got a discard spell and Thoughtseize, and then this is my guilty pleasure, my favorite card in all of Magic, which is Balance, which, strictly speaking, I'm not sure belongs in this Burning Wish sideboard, but I want it there. Yeah. Other than that, this is a fairly straightforward sort of blue combo control deck. We've got the 4 Missteps for Force of Will, playing a Misdirection because I love that card, a couple Fluster Storms, so that's like the permission. Got some cantrips. Only found room for 2 Preordain, which is probably wrong, but I really wanted the Jace, the Singleton Jace, just to spread out my win conditions. Yeah, got one of the top deck tutors, Vampiric Tutor, and got Demonic Tutor, and those are the black cards. Gristful Brand aside. So yeah, I also only found space for the 1 Delve spell. That's probably wrong. We probably want the Treasure Cruise as well. But I think of the 2, Dig Through Time is the more important one in this kind of deck. But I think actually, what to cut for the Treasure Cruise? I guess Jace is like an obvious candidate, but nah. I'll try it the way it's built here, but let's just suffice to say that it's probably correct to find room for a Treasure Cruise. But that's the deck tech. I hope that gave you sort of an overview. The sideboard, we also have a couple of bullets here. We have Elvish Norn, which is just really nice for like against Mentor, Pyromancer. Against Dredge, it's not too bad. Got some artifact removal. Like a lot of people bring in Grafdigger's Cage and what's it called, Containment Priest against Oath, but having the Show and Tell package kind of lets you negate that a bit. But it's nice to have some artifact removal for the shops matchup, even though I think that's probably in our favor, just because they will always have creatures in play, and Oath of Druids is only a 2 mana spell. But yeah. But anyways, thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you enjoy the matches. Bye bye.